the chances of Nigeria competing globally is there. Education will level up where those that didn't go to school ends. It's better to take risk when you're less than 40, so that when you make mistakes, you can come out of it. Government knows, and you and I also know that government knows that if they allow tech to take fully its place in education, in business, in politics, it will deprive a lot of people what they do in terms of corruption.
Welcome again. We are really happy to have you in the studio. Before I go right to it, what is it that you really, really love about Unicar Radio? Because you are always here for us.
All right. First, I want to say good morning to our listeners.
Yes, sir.
Great Malabite and Malabresses. Anytime I come into Unical, I have this reflection that comes back to me. I'm a Malabite.
Yes.
And the first time I walked into your radio station, I saw a very unique station.
Wow.
I've been to some radio stations to give interviews, and from the building, you will not know that they have this aesthetics inside the building. And when I got in here, I fell in love with the aesthetics, the equipment, and the panache.
Wow.
At which they display all that they do. So at any point they call on me to do something, I try to fit it into my program, even if it's tight, but I still have to find a way to come around.
Thank you so much. Truly, we are honored. On behalf of myself and the entire Unicorn Radio team, we'd like to say thank you. And of course, we'd like to congratulate you for your on your recent investiture as the state president of the Boys Brigade Nigeria Cross River State Council. How does it feel, sir?
Well, I grew up being a member of Boys Brigade. It's something that I have always, putting my passion into, while growing up.
Yes.
But as a secondary school student, if you're not in Boys Brigade, you are missing. In fact, at that time, we had either Boys Brigade or Boy Scout. So at any point, we are going for March Past is a competition between these two.
Yes.
So after a while, when I got into university, I slacked. I wasn't part of it any longer. After that, I came back as a patron. And then we got to a stage where the council took a decision and said, oh, it's time to return this to the Anglican Church and the Methodists. And I happened to be qualified to vie for that position. And today I'm here as the state president. One of the reasons why I also accepted to serve as a president is because it aligns with my vision for the boys. Boys Brigade also has girls. The name is Boys Brigade. But there are girls inside Boys Brigade. Yes, there are girls inside it. But but the vision of Boys Brigade aligns with my vision for my foundation. So it was easy for me to accept. It was easy for me to quickly blend, to offer the same services for the boys. For me, once you're able to get the boys right, the chances of getting things better in future is there. Because, when we are growing up, they say that we're leaders of tomorrow.
Yes.
And we're here now. I'm not sure we have offered good leadership to those coming behind us. So if we can, offer them a certain level of training to make them good leaders tomorrow, then we can take a back seat and ensure that Nigeria is in the hands of good
And
leaders.
you're quite passionate about the boy child.
Yes, because I over the years, I saw that it's basically girls, basically pregnant women. Every NGO, every government program is targeted at.
So let me just hold you on that note a little, so that you not, because we want you to say something about that much later.
Okay.
But while preparing for this interview, I really anticipated it. By the way, I think I explained a little about how giddy I was, and I'm really happy that you honored our invitation. So while preparing, I found a lot there is the Boys Brigade, there is Hogis, there is Arubah, there's the Association of Public Health Physicians, Nigeria, there's the Lion Club. I think there's even Ohanes and Digo.
Yeah.
There's just so much about you, and I'm pretty sure that there's more that you're building that you probably haven't unveiled to us. But at this point, we want to meet Mr. Ikechukwu, the father, the son, the husband, when he's not strategizing, when he's not cooking up something big. Who is Mr. Ikechukwu Ukweh?
Okay, my name is Ikechukwu Henry Ukweh. It's important to also emphasize the name Ikechukwu because most times people address me as Henry. Henry is my second name. My first son's name is Henry. So most times when you call me Henry Ukweh, I will be looking at you until you add the Ikechukwu first, because that's my name. So that's my name. I am an alumni of UNICAL. I studied medicine here. It's important to also emphasize that I grew up in Aba.
Wow.
Yeah, it's in Abia State. I grew up in Aba. I did my secondary school in Aba. Part of my primary in Imo State. So I've blended through 3 cities, from Owerri to Aba, now to Calabar. And I have 2 sons, I have a wife, and beyond all these, I like to take a back seat once in a while just to unwind, And people keep asking me, you have a cinema. I have not seen you most times in your cinema. I hardly have time to, unwind watching the cinema. The only thing I can watch mostly is football. Yeah, and for whoever that knows me, I'm a proud Chelsea fan, so whenever it's Chelsea playing,
say it again.
Yes, I'm a proud Chelsea fan.
Yes,
so
we are.
I watch. That's the only thing I watch on television. If you catch me watching TV, then I'm watching football. Or I'm listening to news, or I'm watching biographies. In fact, my best part is I like to watch autobiographies of wealthy men, people who have innovated things. I like watching it. I like reading about them. And those are the things that keep me busy beyond, trying to do business. These are the other things I do by the side, just to keep myself busy.
You're a proud Malabite. In fact, you studied medicine here in this university. Why exactly did you choose that path?
Well, I'm writing a book. That book will be launched soon. And in that book, I have mentioned that I never wanted to study medicine. And these are some of the things I'm teaching the young boys too. I never had in mind to study medicine. In fact, there's no doctor in my family, there's no doctor in my community. As at the time I studied medicine. And then my elder brother one day came back from school and told me that I'm the 7th child in a family of 8.
Wow.
And then he came back and he told me that he sees a potential in me and he wants me to study medicine. Wow. I was like, wow, I don't have any intention doing that. But he told me that I will support you. And whatever it takes for us to push you to study this, we'll do that. And then he did a lot in terms of coaching, in terms of exposure, and even in terms of choosing UNICAL. I didn't know UNICAL at all at that time.
Yes.
He was the one that chose UNICAL for me. He was actually also an alumni of UNICAL. He studied biochemistry here. Wow. So he knew UNICAL a bit. Yeah. And that was how I came to study medicine. Now, do I regret studying medicine? The answer is no.
Okay. Yes.
I came in, yes, I struggled. In that book, you see the parts I wrote about it. I struggled because it was something, I came from a background where I used to play a lot to now coming to study medicine that demands a lot from you. So I was struggling, especially in my year 1 and year 2. But along the line, I was able to stabilize. And today I'm a doctor. I'm not just a doctor. I proceeded to postgraduate training, finished that, did a PhD, not just ending at a PhD. I have also done some certification here and there, just to ensure I blend it into my business. So I look back today. If you ask me, do you want to study medicine again? I would say yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because medicine is one thing that gave me that background to think. Because the books were so many. So each time I come back and I look at the fat textbooks, so I keep asking myself, how can I go around it to make it a bit easier. So it gave me that creativity, that ability to think outside what is the usual. And that is the things I apply in my businesses till today. Medicine taught me that it's not about reading the fat books, because the questions will only be 5 out of a textbook of over 1,000 pages.
Exactly.
And they'll ask you just 5 questions. So how do you go around it to be able to master how to get these questions and to answer? It taught me how to develop, schemes on how I can answer questions.
Yes.
And those are the things that I still use today to do my businesses, because, like I used to tell my staff, and I said, common sense is not common.
At all.
Yeah. And I think that medicine also enabled me to acquire that common sense early in life. Medicine taught me that, while you are walking, you should be walking with your senses all intact. Your eyes, your ears, your skin, you're feeling everything. And you must be able to do things that will change your environment. So I'm glad today I'm a doctor. And the only regret maybe I might have is that none of my kids are studying medicine, because they chose their own path. The Gen Zs these days, they tell you this is what I want to study. So if you push them further than that, so they saw us and said, you guys have done your part, but I don't want to study medicine at all. So, but for me and my wife, she's also a medical doctor.
Wow.
For us, we're glad we're here, we're doing what we're doing best. But my kids are not doing medicine.
But sir, tell us, how did you branch out into tech, hospitality, and other areas? I mean, doctors barely even have time for themselves. So how did it happen?
Yeah, in fact, as I was driving here this morning, I was talking with my staff, and he told me that you always say to us that the things that you do, you identify a problem and you offer the solution. And I said to him, yes. Nobody gives you an award for knowing problems, but they give you an award for providing solutions to a problem.
Yes.
Nobody will pay you for a problem they identified. Nobody. If you identify all the whole problems in this world, people that will make money from it are those that have provided solutions to those problems.
Yes, sir.
So, in my 3rd year in medical school, we usually pay school fees manually at that time. We go to First Bank, queue on the line, and then we pay. In fact, you have to go to the bank by 5 a.m., pick a tally, come back, shower, and go back. So it takes about 2-3 days to pay fees.
Wow.
Yes. And, I keep asking myself, can this thing be done in a better way? So I had a friend who was also in Unica then, he's a tech guy. He didn't know what to do with his skill. He just know that he does software, but he doesn't know what to do with his skill. So I had another friend too, who was in politics. So 2 of us came together and said to ourselves that, so I told him this problem, and then the first thing we did was first to identify that first, students don't even have any place to go to use internet within the campus at that time. Everybody goes to where they have in the tab now, queue on the line, they read your internet, you read your email, on the screen. Everybody hears what they are reading. So I felt so embarrassed. So that was the first thing that we identified. So I said, okay, let's start something. And that was what bettered the Zelens Cafe that was in Unica in Malabo. We became the first to do that in the university. So we started the cafe, had finances here and there. So we set up that business. 3 of us ran it very well. And then from there, we now remember that we used to suffer to pay school fees. So we asked the other guy, can you develop a solution to this problem?
Yes.
So he said, yes, that he can. So we looked at it and said, okay, this is the manual process. Then there was no manual anywhere that shows you how Portal works. There's none. If you Google Portal everywhere in the world, it was just in the international schools that uses it, but we don't have the detail of how it works.
Yes.
So I said, okay, let's design for the manual process. People go to the bank, they pay, you bring a teller, come back to faculty office, turn it into a receipt, then use that receipt for exam.
Yes.
Or for hostel and everything. So why don't we turn this into a process online? You go to the portal, click on fees, it generates a fees for you. Then there was no remitter, there was eTransact and InterSwitch. That was what we were using then to do that. So we designed that. Unfortunately, we couldn't sell that product to Unica because we are students in the school. As at the time we went to the Vice Chancellor to present that, we were told that, oh, this is a lovely idea, but we can't give you the contract because, one, you're a student of the school. So what did we do? We didn't stop there. We now ventured into other schools. So the first school that we deployed our solution to was Imo State University in Owerri.
Wow.
Yes. And that was how we grew from there. And from there, we have ventured into other schools. Yes, the company I didn't continue with Zelens for a long time, but we continued in that process, So I ventured out. That was how GTCO was bettered, because we had a little issues while I was in Zelens, so I had to move out and then from GTCO Cascade. And we began to now innovate and provide solutions to institutions within the country.
If you're just tuned in, I'm trying to take it all in, absorb everything. I'm just hearing a lot of innovative ideas. They simply identified problems and came together. If a group of friends, a clique, like girls like to call it. What are you doing in your clique? Just go back and think about it. So let's zone in on Dr. Ukweh now, the doctor, the public health physician. How did you intentionally and successfully transition from caring for individual patients to building and running your own hospital?
Okay, also the same problem. I had my second child here in Calabar, and we work in his teaching hospital. Myself, my wife, my parents-in-law. So we all work there. And I saw the way then, things have actually changed now, but then, how medicine was practiced. I did my housemanship there. And in fact, my first day at work was to certify a dead patient, and the trauma, even though, yes, as a student, we know that person, somebody will die, but the first day at work, as I was wearing my white ward coat that was shining at that time, and then we're in the ward, doing ward round, and then in the course of ward round, somebody was screaming the other way, that this person had just died, And then, so my senior registrar looked at me and said that I should go on there and check and then and certify the person dead. I was like, wow, first day at work, certifying somebody dead, So I didn't like the way medicine was practiced at that time, people have to go to, when they prescribe that you should go and buy drugs, you have to go outside to look for drugs to buy. When they ask you to do some investigations, you have to go outside to do those investigations. There was no light. That was even the worst part. There was no light. Light was epileptic. And then there was the relationship between the patients and the nurses wasn't just that friendly. So I looked at all those things. I said, there must be a better way out.
Yes.
But we didn't have all the finances at that time. But what now pushed us out of that place to build Arubah was when we lost our child in that same hospital. And so I was walking out from the hospital, something dropped in my mind. I said, you that is even working here with your wife, with your parents-in-law, lost a child in this hospital because there was no light, there was no oxygen, nothing to work with. And you have also heard people cry every time they lose a baby, they lose everything. Why don't you do something about it? And I said to myself, but I don't have all the finances it takes to build that. It was back and forth in my heart. I was struggling with it, but something dropped in my heart. I said, if it's a good cause, God will make the provision for that, So exactly. I tried to look for an excuse, just like, when Jonah was sent to Nineveh, he didn't want to go. He was looking for an excuse, So I kept looking for it, and I told myself, okay, so I said, say, God, if you really want us to build a hospital, I want to build around Mariam. Because I felt that Mariam was already occupied. Nobody would give us space, So I said it must be around Mariam, something that somebody can just stop by Mariam and walk in. And jokingly, I came into Unical, met a man, and then asked the guy, in fact, I saw him carrying, the blue papers that they use in doing landed property. So I asked him, I said, where are you going to? So I have a property to sell off Mariam. I said, really? He said, yes. I said, can we go there? He said, yes. So we drove to the place.
Wow.
And then that was how I saw the first location of Arubah. There was a building, the land was spacious. And then I asked him, I said, I want to buy. He said, are you serious? He said, yes. He said, but somebody else want to buy. I said, no, I want to buy. He said, okay, let's go to the owner of the place. Luckily, the owner of the place, the wife, all the children they have were delivered by my father-in-law. So when I got in, he said, oh, I remember you, I was in your wedding. are you not Professor Ikanem's son-in-law? I said, yes. He said, you want to buy this? I said, yes. He said, okay, this is the amount. But if you don't have it, you can pay in 2 installments, which is what he wouldn't have offered to anybody. He said, for the sake of your father-in-law, you can pay in 2 installments. So I said, okay, quickly. So I called my father-in-law. They spoke on the phone. So that cemented the whole stuff. And he even gave me a discount.
Can you imagine?
Yes, that's just the beauty about medicine, especially those who are in obs and gynae, if you have done it so well. And like my father-in-law, I don't think there's any family you go to in Calabar that they will say, oh, they don't know him, because he delivered most of those people at that time. So that was how Arubah came to be. That was how we bought the property, built up Arubah, and opened it. Arubah is 11 years old now.
Wow.
Yeah. And my happiness today is that we have offered those services that I dreamt of while I was a house officer or as a resident doctor, that things were going wrong somewhere, that we have offered those services. Today, somebody, as a child, we nursed in Arubah. Till tomorrow, each time the father of that child sends me a message, I said, if that is the only thing I have achieved, I would be so happy. That baby was born, and the baby weighed 700 grams. That's 0.7 kg. Nobody gave that child the chance to survive. That child was nursed in our incubator. That child grew. That child is 8 years now. Yes, that child is 8 years now. Each time the father calls me, so I feel so happy that the father keeps telling me, I said, every time I see that child, is you that I normally see in that child. Yes. So and I know the funny thing, he didn't have money to pay at that time. Yeah, he didn't have money. He paid for over a year for the services we render. Anybody who has come in contact with Arubah will tell you that we don't ask you to pay when you come in, but you will pay. What I only need from you is to agree that you will pay. Then we'll offer the services to you. At the end of the day, some have not paid. Some even walk away with their money, but that hasn't stopped us from doing the right thing. I said to myself, the first is to offer service.
Yes.
When you are well and you are able to pay, then you can pay us back. I've done that severally, and we're still doing that. And Arubah is still there, and I'm happy that, yes, we may not have met the expectations of everybody at this time, but it's something that we keep working on. It's a business that we keep innovating on how to make it come out better.
And Arubah, I understand it's a Hebrew word that means restoration to sound health.
Yeah.
Yes. Is that the meaning you've adopted for your organizations as well, or does it mean something else to you?
No, that's actually the name. It was my wife that coined that name. We, like I told you, we lost a baby. Yes. So we were looking for a better name to name our hospital. And then my wife, was going through the scriptures, going through the internet, and she came to me and said, I found something that is interesting. And I said, okay, what's the name? He said, Arubah. I said, Arubah. What? She just told me that is restoration to full health and sound health, And then I said, oh, that fits into what we want to offer. That whoever that comes in contact with us must go back better than the way he came in. So everything we do, our vision, our mission, our core values is to ensure that once you come into contact with us, you must go back better than the way you came. And that has been the backdrop on how our business was built, and that is how it's still running. Like I said, we may not have met everybody's expectations, but the idea is that we are in the business that is still in progress. Luckily, they usually say that we have hit the milestone of 10 years, so we have crossed that 10 years mark. So now it will be better than how it was, before. So that's what we offer. That is what we believe in. That's what we dream of every day. That is what we teach our staff every day, that everything you do must be centered to ensure that this patient returns back home better than how they came into this place.
Yes. Wow, amazing. And it must have really been a tough time, a trying time for you and your family, losing a child. But the fact that that grief was what inspired something so big, so successful, so beautiful is truly remarkable, sir. Now let's talk about Hogis. One of the things that fascinates many people about you is the fact that many founders, many CEOs, owners of businesses, they start one thing and they stick to that one thing. But you didn't just stop at healthcare. you expanded into hospitalities with Hogis, the Hogis brand. So my question is, why hospitality? Why the lounges? Why the clubs? Why the hotels?
Okay, when it's also the same issue of trying to identify a gap or identify a problem, and then you provide a solution to that. I used to have friends that come into town, and they'll be struggling, and they'll be looking for where to lodge. And they'll tell you, oh, I have been to this hotel, they don't like it. I've been here, I don't like it. I've been here, I don't like it. And so sometimes I will just walk around with them, and I also do not like what I see at that time, And I ask myself, is it possible to do something on a small scale, but at least to show that you can get it right, And then normally when I have such thing drop in my spirit, I normally go back to my wife and then we'll discuss. Once my wife says it's doable, we move. Whatever anybody says is not important. I remember that at the time this hotel issue came on board, I sat down with my wife and she says, oh, that's beautiful, let's do it. And, I went back to my friends and I said, oh, I want to do this hotel. They said, oh, no, don't do. The fact, they mentioned the hotel that have gone down. So haven't you seen this one is down? Haven't you seen this one is down? You want to join the queue? I went back and told my wife, I said, don't mind them. Let's do it.
Oh.
Let's do it. So I didn't tell them again. So they thought I didn't do it again. So I didn't even call them when I did the groundbreaking.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't call them. They are my friends till today, and they tell me that, oh, I love your resilience, because we thought we would have discouraged you. Thank God we didn't discourage you.
Yes.
So they, so we started building, finished the building. I invited them for the opening. They were wow. And now we're hitting the 5-year mark. This year will make us 5 years. And by God's grace, we are pushing.
Yes, sir. While we're still on the topic, what does Hogis stand for?
It's an acronym of our names.
Okay.
Yes. This one now is not Hebrew.
Yes.
This one is an acronym of names. H stands for Henry. And the O is my wife's name, Ofonime.
Yes.
The G is George,
yes.
myself, and I is Ikechukwu, that's my name as a father. And then S signifies that we are all plural. Together, all of us are Hogis.
I did my findings while I was digging. I had to ask, and I wanted to know what it was because I really knew it was the first, letter of all of these. But I got stuck at S. Like, if I have finished now, who again? Who again has that S? And I said, I have to hear it from you. I have to find out. It's really, really wow. The fact that we are plural.
Yeah.
I'm learning. I'm getting. I will name my establishment the strangest things.
Yeah. And it was easy for us to register it. There was no restriction from CAC.
Yes.
So it was actually a lawyer that crafted that name. I had a discussion with the lawyer. We kept going back and forth with names. He said, why do you? So think about, why don't you think about your names? Put your names down. So wrote it down, came to Hoggy. So I was thinking, I said, yes, we are 4. So that's plural. So let's put Isaac. Yes, Hoggy. So that's how we get the Hoggy.
And interestingly, our last guest also operates in the hospitality industry. And she spoke about a challenge many Nigerians face in this space, balancing globalization with local culture, running a classy, world-class operation while still letting our stories, our culture and identity shine through. What is your perspective on this?
Absolutely. The truth is that when you talk about global, everybody is more like a one village now. Every hotel has to operate under the same structure in terms of the naming, in terms of what is front desk. Front desk is the same front desk everywhere in the world. And portal is portal everywhere in the world.
Yes.
Now, if we discover the way hotels are also designed globally, every hotel must use a white bedsheet. It's global. If you enter any hotel and see a red bedsheet, you run away. You don't want to stay there because there's a culture already built over the years.
Yes.
Okay, I want to ask yourself, why do we use color bedsheets at home? but you can't use it in a hotel because there's a culture that has been developed over the years that you can only use a white bedsheet in a hotel, can only use a white towel in a hotel, can only use a white floor towel in a hotel. Those are all the global standards have been created among all the brands. You can't go to any brand, that is doing a hotel and you're outside of this. Now, but it's important to also infuse your local content to it. The way you dress, your food, the way you greet, you should be able to add that. In fact, what we have discussed or what is being proposed among the hoteliers is that you must have a 70% global content and 30% of local content infused into your hotel to be able to, meet international standard. So that anybody who walks into your hotel doesn't feel strange. Even the way you design your reception should be in such a way that when somebody walks in, he doesn't feel frightening. You don't put things that could frighten your guest in your reception. Yeah, so it's the same standard everywhere in the world. So that's why, if you go to the 5-star, I've even done it in such a way that for every 5-star hotel you go to, it's almost the same pattern. I was telling somebody came to me and asked me, why did you design your hotel this way? And why did you use rug on your corridors? And I said to him, if you have been to any 5-star hotel in the world, it's the same standard they use. Yeah, it's easy to know that. In fact, when you take a picture on the corridor of a 5-star hotel, somebody can say that this is a 5-star hotel.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's the same standard they use anywhere in the world. You can't go for any Marriott you go to in the world. It's the same thing you see. The same way they do their rooms, the same way they position their TVs, the same way they do the convenience is the same way. Somebody was asking me, I asked someone, I said, do you know why that, okay, I asked me a question, I said, where do women's urinary stay in a hotel or in any place? And they were looking at me. I said, when you hear the word that the women's are always right, for every convenience you build in a hotel, the women must be on the right. So if you go to any hotel, it's on the left, that hotel didn't build it globally. I don't understand what you are doing. Women's convenience is always on the right. So some hotels will write, women's are always right.
Yeah.
Meaning that once you get into a space, don't even need to ask questions, just turn right.
Right.
Those are where women should go to for convenience. So that's infusing local content into global standards to be able to present it to any guest. So the guest doesn't come in and they find the place strange. Yeah, if you do breakfast today, if you are doing a buffet breakfast, you must have the global standard of breakfast and you have the local content because people must also want to taste your food. So you can imagine that people come to eat breakfast in Hogis and we have ekbang, we have afan soup, we have all the local dishes only as breakfast.
I had afam soup.
So you can imagine that they will run away.
Yes.
Yeah, they won't want to stay there again after that day. But they come in, they see all the continental food, they still turn around, they see your local content. So they will taste a bit of this, and they will be excited to taste this too.
Exactly.
Yeah, so those are some of the things that you must blend in to offer that services that distinguishes us as a global hotel anywhere in the world.
And quite honestly, if I walk into any hotel and see that their bed sheet is red, I'll be scared that there's an SMO somewhere. Maybe they are doing one SMO thing.
Yeah, so even if it's a Louis Vuitton red bedsheet, you will not want to sleep there.
Yes.
Because your mind already has made up that hotels should give you white bedsheet.
Yes. Sir, your humanitarian side is very, very evident from Hogis Foundation. You're very intentional about the boy child. Now, would you say, that's why I was stopping you at first, would you say it's because there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of, I don't call it noise, but people talk a lot about the girl child, women, pregnant women, but there's merely or barely anything or enough about the boy child. What gap did you see that you wanted to fill?
Okay, but in fact, you've already answered the question, because this gap is already there.
Yes.
Almost all the NGOs talk about the girl child, talk about the pregnant women, and because this group are seen to be the most vulnerable.
Yes.
And so I sit and I look at myself and I said, okay, take out the girl child first and ask yourself, 80 to 90% of what makes a young girl vulnerable comes from the actions of the boy child. all the men. Everything you are protecting the girl from is targeted or to shielding them from what men do and what boys do. Now, why don't we focus on these boys? That means if you do that, you have reduced the exposure dangers of these girls to almost 50 to 60%. So I ask myself, so how many NGOs out there, how many government policy documents talks about intentionally grooming boys to be value-driven innovators and creators of wealth and other emotions, attached to it? How many? And you can't find them, and look around you, even in the state where we are. How many times have you seen, people gathering and they say, we are going to schools just to attend to the boy child? How many, the day of the girl child, they pat a girl, do this a girl, do that for a girl? Yes. How many have they done for the boy, And then, so that was how we intentionally, and I got a team and I said we need to focus our attention to the boys. And then the most formative time to talk about is between the ages of 10 to 19, because that's the time the boy is getting more aware of himself. Yes. That's when the boy have a lot of urge to do a lot of things. So if you're able to, at that time, mold this boy, to be value-driven, that whatever he is trying to venture into must provide a solution to a problem or must offer value, to people in exchange for other resources in terms of money, in terms of other gestures, you are likely going to have a better society. Yes. And that is how we set out. Started last year. We've engaged boys, we've done debates, we've gone even, when we went for Christmas visits to the boys on the street. And so I interviewed some of them. And in fact, one of the places we went to, the boys were a bit aggressive. They said to us that we don't want people that come here with camera to snap us. And, the idea that you snap them to go and make money outside. In fact, one of them told us that they came here, promised them education, promised them this, took pictures of them, and they never saw them again. So they have this fear. So when they see any group come with camera, they become a bit restless. Yes. And they don't want to be seen. So we have to sit them down and begin to talk to them. So I saw that anger in the boys, that these guys are using us for money making. So we want to change that narrative, that it's not about making money off you, but rather we want you to be a beneficiary of whichever money that we want to attract. Yes. In terms of training you in schools, in terms of if you don't want to even go to school, you have other vocations that you can go to, you can do. And I also discovered that when you look at people's autobiographies online and read them out, you discover that between the ages of 10 to 19 is when some of them made those critical decisions to do some stuff. One of the guys I read is I watched his autobiography. Is the plastic surgeon from Ghana. He lives in California, and the guy was telling us that I was saying that at the age of 10, he was growing in Ghana, and then his uncle was living in the US, and then his uncle sends the money, to go to school. At that age of 10, so he sat and he asked himself, this place that they are bringing money to give them in Ghana, he wants to go there. Yes. And also see how they make money from there. So by 12, he told his parents to tell his uncle that he wants to study in the US. So his uncle didn't allow him to study in the US. Uncle said, no, that US is tough. US is not a good place to come at this age, blah, 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 blah. So, but he stayed. At the end of secondary school, he didn't want to go to school in Ghana. He told himself that he would not go to university in Ghana. So he drafted, because he was, in fact, he said in that interview that he was listening at that age. He was listening to other people's biographies and saw how they were moving. And then he applied to a school in the US. And that what he used at that time to get that scholarship to go to US was that he told them that he wants to become an agricultural engineer.
Wow.
And that there is none in Ghana at that time that offers that course in the Ghana University. And he also wrote in his in a concept note that his father owns a large farm, so that he wants to go to the US, study, and come back to help his father develop, farming in Ghana.
Oh.
That was how he got scholarship.
Brilliant.
Yes. So his uncle told him that the day he gets visa, he will pay his ticket. So that his uncle maybe thought that he would never get visa.
Yes.
He went to the embassy, defended his concept note, and he got visa to the US. Then his uncle paid his flight ticket. He arrived in the US, got to the university, and deferred his admission by 1 year.
Okay.
Yeah, so that he can work and change course. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So he deferred it for 1 year, and he started working. He started working 2-shift job in a day, raising money, and then he got into the university, studied medicine, and became a plastic surgeon. Yes. So imagine those stories from 10. So if you can get boys and infuse in them that desire to know what to do,
exactly, yes,
you have achieved a lot. Today, he's one of the richest doctors in Ghana. In fact, the richest in Ghana as a doctor, and one of the richest in the US. And the vision started from 10.
10.
Yes, from 10. So I want to see boys grow in that same trajectory, move in that same line. So the foundation is doing a lot, targeted in ensuring that we groom boys who are intentionally, deciding either to follow a career path or to get into business or to do whatever they need to do that is legitimately good,
yes,
for their own good. These days, if you ask children, what they want to do, the social media has even made things worse. When we grew up, there was no social media, there was no internet. There was internet, but we were not privy to look at internet at that time. Today, the children we have will even do things better than the fathers on the internet. They know how to navigate.
Yes,
you block this one, they went through this other way. You do this one. So the best is now, what do we do so they can get the best out of the internet?
Yes.
Yeah, so that they don't go fishing, thinking that when they see a young man driving Rolls Royce today, they think that the Rolls Royce fell from heaven. So they want to drive a Rolls Royce. In fact, I have discovered from the interactions among the young boys, yes, that one of the drive is the drive to make wealth early.
Yes.
So they feel that medicine is a long road to that wealth making. But they've looked at your parents. You see your parents when you were growing up as doctors. Doctors are one of the poor paid. I'm a doctor. We are poorly paid.
Wow.
In Nigeria, not outside Nigeria. In Nigeria, we are poorly paid. So if my child sees me as a doctor struggling, and he's 12, 13, I'm still struggling. 14, I'm still struggling. 15, I'm still struggling. The guy will not want to study medicine.
At all.
Yeah, so
No.
he will tell himself, look at my father and my mother, they are doctors, and they can't offer me what I want. Therefore, they will not start browsing. Who's the richest man on this world? They say, they didn't go to school. They say, I don't know why I go to school. Yeah. And that's the funny part. The richest men in the world, they didn't go to school. The guy that is doing streamer online now have not gone to university.
Yes.
He's a billionaire. So when kids see that guy, who is also within the age bracket, is less than 19 at the time, in fact, it was less than 18 when he started hitting the millions and heading to billions, why would they want to go to school? So you need to now redirect their focus. That engagement is what we're out for in Hogis Foundation. It is trying to remold and redirect children, and it's not easy. It's not an easy task. It's not an easy task. So we call on people, whoever can support us, to do so in terms of your experiences, in terms of things that you do, because we're going to have workshops, trainings. We'll get people to volunteer to do that. Because for me, if we have better kids tomorrow, the chances of Nigeria competing globally is there.
Yes.
Because I keep saying it, our generation have failed these kids. We shouldn't allow them to still come up and still be a failure. So we must do something to ensure that we put them on the right path to rescue this country to a better place.
So, sir, let's talk to Dr. Ukweh, the tech guru, GTCO Calscan Nigerian Limited. When and how did it start?
Well, GTCO came into being because there was this little disagreement within my friends. We were the one that built Zelens,
Okay.
and so we did have this misunderstanding. And because the IT part is my passion, so I didn't just want to walk away. I need to develop something that I can use to continue doing my business.
Yes.
And that was how GTCO came into being. And before then, GTCO was more of a rep of a company in the US. The mother company is called the GTCO Carcom,
Okay.
which is a digitizer producing company in the US. We were reselling for them in Africa. So we had a franchise to resell digital boards and other IT equipment in Africa. So when this issue of Zelens happened, so I quickly have to now, add in software development into GTCO, yes. And then, so I took it up and started looking for businesses from there. And we built solutions. I got these young, Crossivarians who are also tech experts. Three of them. One is from there are four of them. One is from Abia, then the other three are from Crossivarians. So what I did was to enable them acquire more knowledge,
Yes.
get them into my team, and we'll develop softwares for institutions. So I started going to market. I was the one marketing the business, I was the one traveling, and our first major client was Federal Poly in Nekede in Imo State, So we got there, deployed the software that has to do with the Edu portal, has to manage the students' entire life on campus, how to do stuff for the hostel and transcript and all the stuff. From that school, the rectors went for their rectors meeting, and then they were discussing in the meeting, and another school said, I have a problem of this. That was how we got into Yaba College of Technology in Lagos.
Yes, sir.
Develop softwares for them, excel in Lagos. Lagos, that was like, you're not from Yoruba. Why? How can you excel here? But we excel. We were there for many years. From there, we went to Nasarawa, developed softwares for the insurance system, came to Anambra, came to Abia, came back to Imo State, and we have been there, trying to develop these softwares and working for them. So we have built a team. And the uniqueness about GTCO Cascan is that we're able to give our programmers flexibility to work from anywhere in the world where you are. So wherever you are, you can develop softwares for us where we'll have just the team on ground to do more of the marketing and client support system. That was how we are building, and that is how we're still building till now. Okay, he asked if education is a sure guaranteed for what. The answer is no. And the answer is also, in fact, it's a capital no, because if I say it's also a yes, then I will be misleading the public. It's no because you've seen and you've heard, you've read about people that didn't go to school and they are controlling millions and billions today. As an example of such a person is someone that I also have listened to his story, read his story, watched him speak. Mr. Cosmos Madoka is the owner of Koshkari's group, and he will tell you that he never went to secondary school, but he employs first-class degree holders to work for him, and he sits in two public quoted banks, here in Nigeria. He has even spoken at UNIDO conference in Vienna, for someone that didn't go to school, but he has spoken and he has even mentored those who have first class. So education is not the show, but you need education, as a background to further what you are creating. The beauty is that, like he also mentioned it. Yes. He said that if he was opportune to go to school, probably he would have tripled his income. Right. So education will level up, where those that didn't go to school ends.
He also mentioned government moving towards technicality.
Now, government knows, and you and I also know that government knows that if they allow tech to take fully its place in education, in business, in politics, it will deprive a lot of people what they do in terms of corruption, in terms of trying to do a kickback.
Bam.
So they know that. So that's why they play down on tech. If you do, one of the reasons, one of the things I discovered as an IT person in schools was when we were trying to digitize processes that used to be manual.
Yes.
If you go to Federal Polytechnic today, they used to screen students face to face. Now that's when you get admission, you carry your WAEC, your IT certificate, your village and everything, and you go and meet a screen officer, that's what they call them,
Yes.
and then they'll screen you. Without indicting anyone, those guys were top of money, were making money. The rector came in that year and says, no, I don't want students to have any contact with anybody. Once you're able to break contact with people, you have solved corruption problem by almost 90%. Contact is what fuels corruption. When I come to meet you with my file and you discover that my WAEC is this thing, you say, if you pay me, I can correct it for you.
Yes.
Yeah. So it fuels corruption. Now, we started a process where there's no contact with anybody. Upload your WAEC online, upload all your details online. The system will check from WAEC website. If your WAEC is fault, they throw it away. If your IT does not tally with the period of when you're supposed to do IT, it throws you out. So with that, the system was sanitized. But the lecturers or the non-academic staff forced us to stand still. They say it will not work, But the rector himself stood his ground and said, this must work.
Yes.
And that was how we have been able to solve that. So the government knows that once you bring in tech into education, you have cut off lecturer-students interface. Everybody does your work, submit your assignment, they mark it, and they post the results. So imagine the manual process. They will go and put your result on the wall or somewhere before CoNet comes. Then you go back to your lecturer and say, oh, I've seen my score. They say, I have this. So it's okay. If you bring money, I will sort it out for you. So, but if it has been uploaded online, it cannot change again.
Yes.
Yeah. Whoever that ventures into business and tells you that it was all rosy is lying to you. We were students. And we know the problem of students who didn't have the finances to start up this business.
Yes.
And the first place we went to was a bank. I didn't want to mention the name. It was a bank on highway. We met the manager. Our pastor sent us to him, because we went to our pastor. We have designed all the programs in terms of the cafe, the system we're going to buy, the generator, everything. And we have even projected our income, what we are going to make. But the banks don't, no matter how rosy, beautiful your business proposal looks like, if there is no guarantor or no collateral to get any money from the bank, they will not give you.
Yes.
And remember that banks don't sponsor startups. Yeah, they don't. Because the banks put money in businesses that are already established.
Right.
So we got to the bank and we had this meeting with the manager, lovely guy. He sat down, listened to us, and then we told him how much we are going to make and this and that. And the man looked at us and said, okay, do you have a collateral for this loan? Students, where will we get collateral from?
From where?
And we said no. He said, oh, sorry, tell your pastor to call me. So that was how it ended. Now, so we got frustrated a bit, but we didn't give up. So what I did, and which is what I want to also profile to startups who are in school, who are outside school, you must have someone that will believe in your dream. So I took this dream then to my family, and then I discussed with my brother remember, he was the one that gingered me to study medicine. So now I came back and I said, oh, this medicine is going well. But in the course of studying this medicine, I have discovered that we can do this business by the side. And the question he asked me, hope it will not affect your studies. I said, no, that I have other two guys who are together with me. When I go to school, they will be the one doing the business and everything. And he said, okay, that he will support the business. So he supported a bit of the business.
So having someone who backs you
yes.
really, really goes
It goes a long way, yes. So, because we tried outside, it didn't work, so we have to come back home.
Yes.
And then the other guy used his connections to get us a space that we were not going to pay money. In fact, the university gave us that space in Malabo free of charge, because of his connection with the then DVC admin. So the man saw the vision too, saw what we were going to bring in on campus. It was good innovation. The man said, okay, take his space free. So they gave us that space free.
So of your enterprise is started here in Calabar, but over the years, they've gained relevance beyond the city. What strategies do you believe that businesses must adopt? Because from all of this inspiration, we want them to actually hear practical lessons that they must practice for them to bring themselves up, for them to level up. So what strategies do you believe businesses must adopt in systems, in culture and processes to scale effectively from a local context like Calabar to a national and even a global context?
Well, please, for the listeners, Calabar is not a local place, please.
Okay.
But what I can say is that you can start from the area of your strength. Why we use the word locally? Not that we are depicting Calabar to be a local place.
Yes.
But we are saying that Calabar is your area of strength. That is where they know you, and it's a smaller space.
Yes.
What you look at for any business you want to venture into, do not start from where you don't have an advantage. If I have opened Hogis in Lagos, I can bet you that it will be very few people that will know who is this Hogis person, irrespective of how we open, because the amount of money at our disposal cannot give us an advantage to compete with the bigger brands in Lagos. Yeah, if you want to compete, you must have all the backings financially to succeed in Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt. Now, but with the amount of money we had at the time we started Hogis,
yes,
we can excel in a city where we have an advantage. So that is why we came here and we started from here. And then when you have grown and gained mileage in your area of strength, you can scale. Now, before you scale, you must also have a structure developed. Any business that requires your attention more than 12 hours every day, you are highly employed, not an entrepreneur.
Okay.
Yes, you are just over. In fact, you are employed in that. You're not an entrepreneur. Because entrepreneur means that you are setting up a business that has a structure that runs on its own, and you can disappear for 30 days. That business is still running.
It's still running.
Yes. So before you scale up to building another branch, you must develop a structure that will work independent of you, so that once you scale, the business continues.
Continues, yes.
If you scale in confusion, you are also building another confusion in the next business.
True.
So you are going to be struggling. That is the reason why when you see businesses that grow and collapse, it collapses because there's no proper structure, and there's no, you must design it in such a way that you also know the minimum you can draw out finances for your own self. The reason why some of the businesses collapse is because the owner does not know the difference between the money for the business and the money for self-care. So you draw the same amount of money from the business for your self-care. At the time the business requires finances, you don't have money again.
On that note, sir, we know that no business will thrive or do well without taking some risks at some point. So how do you know what kind of risks to take? What risk is worth taking, and how to work around it to create structures that help the possibility of failure?
Okay, now anybody that promises you any business that you build and then tells you that within the next few months you start making huge profits is either lying to you or haven't told you the truth. Yes. Yes. So if you discover too, it is only people who are greedy that falls to those scam of bring 1 million and get 2 million in 2 days, and then you want to put in money. Any diligent, confident, and businessman that has a character will not want to put in money in a business of 1 million and wants to make 2 million to the next day. You build wealth gradually.
True.
Yeah. There is one popular thing that Olamide want to say, if you blow, the chances that you're going to bust is there. So do not want to blow tomorrow because you're going to bust, but rather gradually build a business that outlive you as a person. Yes. And in the course of that building that business, you're also going to have structures. Risk, yes, you must. Every business is a risk, but it must be a calculated risk.
Risk, yes.
And like I used to tell people that it's better to take risk when you're less than 40, so that when you make mistakes, you can come out of it and move on, And once you get to 50, you are retiring, that's not the time to start taking risk that is not proven.
Yes.
Don't do those things. But at the growing, like I made some of those mistakes too when I was growing. I let me tell you, I ran a boutique in this town. It didn't work. Not because boutique were not working, but because the kind of work I was doing cannot allow me to run a boutique, because I needed to be on ground. Watch everybody that has a boutique in town.
Yes.
They are mostly around that shop.
Yes.
Once they start leaving that shop, the boutique start going down, because our business largely in this side of the world is manual. How many boutiques have you gone and all the clothes are computerized? The owner knows that he has bought 10 pairs of jeans and he will forget. And it gives you this idea, you come in, you see money, you keep buying and you keep restocking. So when people start stealing your stuff, you won't know. So if you are not in your shop, they will steal it and then you don't know. So businesses, risk, yes, but take those risks when you are growing. Once you get to 50, it is no more time
for you to take risk. So let's quickly rush to the rapid fire questions. Sir, are you a morning person or a night person?
A morning person.
You have like 2 seconds to answer each question. Coffee, tea, or juice?
Coffee.
Planning everything or going with the flow?
Planning.
Phone call or WhatsApp message?
WhatsApp message.
Sneakers or corporate shoes?
Sneakers.
A book you'd recommend every entrepreneur to read?
Femi Otedola's book. If you haven't read it, please go and read it.
Okay. What's your favorite Nigerian dish?
Afang soup.
Afang soup, yani woman. Okay. Beautiful. That's a very delicious dish, actually. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Never joke with time. Never allow anyone to waste your time. Time wasted cannot be recovered.
Wow. Deep. Sounds simple, right? But that's really, really deep. So you've said a lot today. You've covered plenty. I didn't even have to ask everything, because you're just hitting us pam. There's just a lot of insight you're pouring out, and you have done a lot. You wear many hats, you run on many wheels rather, and we're really, really happy that you could come in today. Thank you very much for sharing your time and your insight with us. These lessons is what people have to pay thousands, hundreds of thousands of naira for, even in dollars, for mentorship, and you're here giving it to us for free, and we really, really appreciate it. So every one of our listeners out there, you've done yourself a great good by tuning in today, and congratulations to all of our winners, myself and the entire Unica Radio team. Wants to give a big thank you to Dr. Ikechukwu Ukweh for making time to join us today on the show. But that's all the time we have. That's even more than all the time we have today for the Founders Community Network. And it was brought to you by Unica Radio International 103.5 FM, your home of Edu Infotainment. I remain your host. I'm not changing. I'm not going anywhere. My name is Eneja Wisdom Chinechem. I'm that wise girl behind the mic, and I want you to join us next week, same time on the Founders CoNet. Bye for now.